The Final One Standing by William Hill on Off the Ball.
Yes, indeed. You're welcome along to Final One Standing. So to celebrate the return of the Premier League, William Hill has launched a brand new game called the Final One Standing. Now, the Final One Standing rules are very familiar to most of you, I presume, because it's essentially last man standing, but in an app on your phone. So what you have to do is you have to pick a team every week in the Premier League. If your team wins, you stay in the game. If you lose, you're out. And you can obviously only pick the same team once. So you can play for free and be in for a chance to win €500,000. And then also there's a 2.5k prize up for grabs in our own small OTB league, where you'll be up against the Brains Trust you're about to hear from in just a moment. So you can use the link in our socials, or you can download the William Hill app and use the code OFFTHEBALL, all caps, all one word, off the ball, and make sure you sign up before 8 p.m. this Friday. So
it's very limited amount of time, which means there'll be a limited number of people in our league.
Yep.
Which means that the odds of you winning the 2,500 quid are pretty high, especially when you've got chumps like me picking.
The numbers are increasing minute by minute. So we're going to have a look at the weekend's games. You've heard Ger is here. David Wilson is here. Hello, David. And Nathan Murphy is with us as well. Nathan, how are you?
Afternoon, lads.
Are you guys big, like, last man standing?
We did one in the office last year, and I got very... there was a bit of controversy. Everybody got grandfathered back in.
Why so?
There was a week, I think, where...
everybody lost.
Fixtures might have been missed. The person organising it might have been asleep at the wheel. It wasn't me, for a change, being asleep at the wheel. And then, I don't know, Phil was representing somebody else. Somebody, one of our colleagues at Today FM, had tapped into the giant football brain of Phil, who was winning it for them, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. I see. Nathan, you strike me as somebody who might be more than au fait with this and know exactly how to play this week on week.
No, I would like to think I do, but I go for the bleeding obvious, and then you get your owl upset, and that's the end of me, generally, how this goes. So, yeah, I go for whoever is the most odds-on favourite to win of a certain week.
Oh, that's good.
And then that's the 1 week. That's the 1 week where there'll be a giant upset.
Do you fill out a schedule, David? Is that how you should do this? I presume that's the way forward here.
Yeah, you should probably have a wee look at what games are happening further down the line. But Liverpool, Manchester City, do you take a risk and go Manchester United, have a positive start to the season and against Arsenal on Sunday? I don't know. Or do you go for one of maybe the promoted teams to have a good start?
Yeah, potentially that is the way forward. So, as I say, Premier League begins this Friday night. It's Liverpool versus Bournemouth. And the 12:30 game on Saturday is Villa versus Newcastle, which is always an interesting fixture. We'll get your take on that in a moment. And then the 3 o'clock tranche of fixtures is Brighton, Fulham, Sunderland, West Ham, Spurs, Burnley, Wolves versus Manchester City. Then it's the 5:30 games, so only 3 o'clock games this Saturday. And then Sunday, you move on to Chelsea versus Palace at 2 o'clock, same time as Forest versus Brentford, Manchester United versus Arsenal at 4:30, and then Leeds versus Everton at 8 o'clock on Monday, as we get used to this more spread out Premier League weekend.
It's a long weekend, isn't it?
It is.
It's going to consume our lives for the next 10
Is everybody
months.
ready for this? I'm not sure everybody's quite ready for this.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, but these first few weeks are going to be novel and extremely enjoyable. I presume Aston Villa versus Newcastle is immediately a fixture you're looking at, sure, and thinking avoid.
Well, I picked Villa as my...
okay.
I was going pure patriotic. Go big or go home, I think, as the Yanks would say. Look, Villa's opening day record is not good. Their record against Newcastle on opening day, not good. Famously, they got annihilated by Newcastle, and Fergus was like, oh, Villa, they're going to finish well this season. And everyone was like, whoa, is he okay? Where's his carer? And then they've qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah, it was 4-0.
It was
2
they
seasons
just
ago.
ripped them apart.
Yeah.
And so whatever he saw something.
That was at St James's, though, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right about that. But Villa have that ability to get beaten and ripped apart by teams like Spurs, who they will then 5 weeks later play in a game and beat them. And I just think Villa haven't had much turnover as of yet. They've had almost none. There's been mild incoming sub-striker. All of their best players are still there. It seems like they're all committed, and certainly they will be committed for the month of August to try and get a move. They are going to get a move. Ollie Watkins is scoring freely in pre-season. Not that matters, but he's a confidence, streaky player, and they've got strength and depth and not many significant injuries at the moment. So is Newcastle a little bit bereft of confidence given their star players leaving, even though they qualify for the Champions League? the Saudi owners seem more interested in helping Clear Lake Finance make money from Chelsea as opposed to actually promoting the club that they own fully. It's a weird scenario.
Or else there's this Eddie Howe managerial masterclass on a human level where these players overextend, overperform, and they actually start
Did you
to
see what they
really
wrote
well.
about you in the Examiner? Did you see? He's got the Examiner after the Newcastle season preview. Like, look what they did. Look.
What are you thinking here, Nathan? Is a Villa Newcastle something that interests you?
Not in a last man standing. It's something that will most definitely interest me on Saturday morning, and I'm well ready for the return. And I cannot wait for this long weekend, every weekend of just relentless football and having to make those life choices that are difficult over Friday, Saturday and Sunday as to what do you prioritise. And, 5:30 on a Saturday evening, how much free time are you willing to give up to watch
Wolves Man City.
Wolves Man City. It's
pretty good.
First weekend of the
I'll
season.
be at Oasis by then, so it's fine. I won't be thinking about Wolves Man City.
They'll put it on the big screen, surely, for the lads to watch.
Possibly. There's a lot of interesting games on week one that will give us that thing we want, which is next Monday. Read way too much into a lot of the things that happen. Like two top managers with Villa and Newcastle, and two clubs you'll wonder where they're going to be come the end of the transfer window. Like, it does feel as though Ollie Watkins, understandably after the way he was dropped for their biggest game of last season in the Champions League, is thinking, all right, maybe there's something else elsewhere, and this is his one and final opportunity to go to and get his payday, and maybe a team that is irregular in the Champions League. Now, with John Duran gone and Marcus Rashford gone, Asensio gone, and him looking like he's going to be the number one, I know they brought in a striker in the last few days from Nice, but if I'm Watkins, I'm probably just trying to stay put and working with that good manager and trusting that you'll be the main man this season. But if he were to go, I think it undermines a lot the fact that there's links around McGinn that they haven't massively strengthened so far. I'm not really sure where Villa are, but again, I think they've such a good manager. You have to trust that whatever their ceiling is, he'll get them there. And like Eddie Howe is somehow going to have to keep that dressing room together with this relentless Isak circus, probably going to go on for another couple of weeks, maybe right till the final day of the transfer window, and inevitably he will end up going. Who do they replace him with? That sense of all of their top players have been linked with not wanting to move to Newcastle. Does that mean other guys in the squad are going, well, what the hell are we doing here? Were we wrong to think that this was a club that was going places that we could have ambitions with? So, yeah, and it's one of those, like United Arsenal, I think that for the losing side, you could become that team people are talking about very quickly in a negative sense.
Is it idiotic of me to immediately look at these fixtures and just have a decision made for myself based on the fixtures, which is Tottenham, no-brainer? Because like the two unbackable favourites this weekend are Liverpool at home to Bournemouth, Tottenham at home to Burnley. You want to keep Liverpool in your back pocket for later in the season because they are champions and probably the best team in the league again this season, whereas Tottenham at home to Burnley may not get a whole pile of use out of them as the season goes on. So you just tap in now. Is that how you're supposed to play this game?
Well, with Burnley, I think Scott Parker had them with a ridiculously good defensive record in the Championship last season. Is there a case of Tottenham maybe failing to score some goals? They were really, really poor against Bayern Munich.
No Maddison, no Son. If the Savino deal is done, will he be able to play? Probably should be.
I don't want to talk you out of it.
You think Swerve?
I don't know. I mean, it's horrific. Like if you're looking to pick one of the middle teams and ride or die, baby.
I think Richarlison probably could be up front for Spurs in a team that's still probably lacking one or two players as well.
Has Frank been able to go in immediately and go, hey, forget about everything that's happened in the past. We're amazing again. Because they have a good collection of players, right?
Yeah.
They're
Do they?
And at the same time, their most recent memory is winning a cup. So there has to be some positivity that they gain from winning the Europa League. And you're right, it's definitely going to take Thomas Frank a little bit of time to bed in. And I don't think we're going to see anything. We're going to see anything like what we saw with Ange for the first 3 quarters of his reign. I can't see them playing that high up the pitch. I think they're going to put an awful lot of stock in getting Romero on the ball, Van de Ven on the ball. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the fullbacks. Is there a place back into the team for Destiny Udogie, who a couple of years ago looked like the best left back in the league? Can he get the best out of Pedro Porro? And while there's a rightly a focus on what they're doing in attack. I think keeping all of those players fit, like Van de Ven and Romero, is one of the best central defensive partnerships in the Premier League if they can keep them fit. Now, there's nothing to suggest that Van de Ven can stay fit and play 30, 35 games in a season. Still not sure they have the requisite level of quality in midfield, and then it feels as though they're going to spend big over the next few weeks in attack with Savinho coming in, which will be interesting because, again, the best of Savinho at Manchester City was frighteningly good, but we didn't see it very often. But we can say that about almost all of the City attackers. And I wouldn't be going for Tottenham this weekend.
Okay, I'll do a U-turn on that.
One.
Thank you very much. I'd actually completely forgotten about the fact that they're playing in Italy on Wednesday night against Paris Saint-Germain in the Super Cup. It just feels that Tottenham playing in the Super Cup just doesn't feel real for whatever reason, but that is happening, and I don't know. But come Friday, we are going to be on with Last One Standing every Friday. So by Friday, I'll have a fully baked opinion on what exactly is going to happen this weekend.
On anything.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, lads? Nathan, gut feeling on who you're going to plump for this weekend?
Oh, I've my decision well made. I'm going to keep it simple. I'll go for Liverpool. I think Liverpool under the lights Friday night at Anfield against. Listen, with all the emotion that's obviously going to be there, with how good they were going forward in the Community Shield against the Bournemouth side, who have managed to keep all their really good attacking players from last season, but have obviously made an absolute fortune by selling their entire defence to the biggest clubs in the world. And I just wonder, in the first few weeks, despite the fact they have a very good manager as well, is that going to take a bit of time for Bournemouth to bed in defensively? And I think you'd be mad to do anything but pick Liverpool.
You sure you're going to burn Liverpool in the first one of the season?
You're not burning them. You're using them to get through to round two, as all of you idiots pick Tottenham and Manchester United at home against Arsenal, and then you're gone. Then you're gone. Then you're out of there.
Well,
I don't think you're actually going to pick Manchester United at home to
No,
Arsenal.
I'm not picking Manchester United at home. I'm going to go for a bit of a left field shot. I'm going to pick Sunderland at home to West Ham. I've seen West Ham a couple of times during pre-season, and I think they might struggle this year. And Sunderland spend a lot of money, and I have a really good coach with Reggie Lebris, and I've got Xhaka in the middle of the midfield there as well. So I just have a funny feeling that Sunderland might start well in the Stadium Light on Saturday.
And how does a man with a seemingly decent life end up watching lots of West Ham in pre-season?
I don't know. They happened to be on the TV when I flicked them on. Like I seen them actually against Man United. And I wouldn't read too much into that game, but they were quite poor. They're lacking. I know that Nicholas Fulkrug is back fit, but I think they're lacking a couple of players and a couple of centre backs as well. So I just have a bit of a worry for them. They might improve as the transfer window goes on, but I just like the look of Sunderland and their coach.
Yeah.
Brighton are odds on at home against Fulham. I think that's a reasonable bet as well. I mean, they have lost Shout better. What are you making that face for, Nathan?
Brighton or Fulham are two teams I don't think you want to touch in a last man standing until you're 7 or 8 weeks in. Huge inconsistency. Now, maybe because a lot of that middle class have lost so much of their talent, there's an opportunity for them to go and finish sort of 7th, 8th. But week on week, I think we've seen over the last couple of years, it's impossible to predict what they're going to turn up with.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll get into a bit more depth on Friday with regards to Brighton and Fulham. But I suspect Nathan's just let the cat out of the bag. Everybody's going to go for Liverpool at home on Friday night as we figure this out this season. And remember, if you want to take part, of course, there's a €500,000 overall prize for everybody taking part on the app. But we do have our smaller OTB league with a cash prize of €2,500. So you can use the link that we've got out on our socials at Off the Ball. You can download the William Hill app. And remember, the code for our private league is Off the Ball, all one word, all caps. Off the Ball, and make sure you sign up before 8 p.m. this Friday, because that is the kick-off in the first game of the Premier League season. David, Ger, Nathan, thanks a million. This has been Final One Standing. Chat to you soon.
The Final One Standing by William Hill on Off the Ball.